The dark side of record label agreements versus distribution agreements. What you need to know and what you need to avoid. As an entertainment attorney of over 9 years now, I have negotiated thousands of agreements, a lot of which had to do with distribution and or record label representation, exclusivity, all the things. So to my musicpreneurs who are watching this and are trying to understand what's happening, I'm going to help you through this process. So make sure you like this video, share it with someone so you can help us to broaden our, audience and to connect and help more people. That's the purpose of this channel. So when it comes to understanding the difference between the distribution deal and the record label deal, let's talk about what the promise is. All right. So if you're working with a distributor, let's talk on the DIY side. A distributor that you probably are aware of might be DistroKid, CD Baby, Symphonic. There's a long list. Those are ones that I've even personally worked with. But these are DIY because you can distribute your own music and you don't have to get any special deal. Everyone can sign up to be on these platforms. Okay. So when we say a distribution deal, that's essentially what it is. Now, when you're talking about the promise of a distributor to distribute your music and the promise of a record label that you're signing with, really the difference is that a record label is saying they're going to get you a distribution, a deal. I know your minds are going to explode from this. All record labels actually promise to do is just to get you a distribution deal. They're not actually promising to make you a big star. They're not actually promising to get you tours or sponsorship deals or anything really fancy, quite frankly. But they're saying that they're going to get you a great distribution deal. And sometimes it's with a higher upper crust kind of distributor like In Grooves, Orchard, right? So these are companies that also do distribution, but not everyone gets to join. When you're working with a distributor who can do some kind of premium services for you, that's awesome. And what we're talking about is that a distributor can sit down, look at your project, sign you, and they're going to actively work your social media platforms, your music platforms to get you fans, to get you streams, to get you followers. So in essence, though, what we're talking about is that the distributor and the record label are actually making the same promise. Good to know, right? So then number two, let's talk about the difference when it comes to the actual contract. And with record labels put what are called options into the record label agreement. The option is for the record label to be able to extend the contract. And the way they sell this to you is just to say, well, if things are going great, we want to keep helping you. Right? We're going to keep helping you. We want to extend the contract. So they dolly it up so it looks like it's this thing that's beneficial for you. But the reality is that it's the way that the label protects its investment to make sure that you don't get to go anywhere else. You have to stay with them and they can exercise the option. You can't say anything about it. So that's the record label's position. Now, if we look at the distributor, in the distribution agreement, what they have are called automatic extensions. And the difference between this is that in the record label case, if it's an option, the label is the only party, the only side to the contract who can actually exercise it. But if it's an automatic extension, what happens is that if no one terminates at the end of the agreement period, which might be 1 year, 2 years, 3 years, 5 years. But if no one terminates, then the contract just automatically extends. And that is a massive difference for you if you are the artist, if you are the band. So again, keep that in mind when we're talking about like how this gets really hairy and complicated and frustrating when you are looking at whether you want to take a distribution deal or a record label deal. All right. Number three, then we're talking about ownership. That's one of the biggest pieces here. If you're going to sign with a record label, the label is going to own your music for a very small percentage of the record label world. There might be a few labels that will have co-ownership in the deal so that they share the ownership with you. That's all magical. They might even allow you to keep ownership. I can't imagine. That's so unbelievably rare. So in most instances, the label is going to take ownership of the music regardless of what happens. So understand that, although it is a gamble for a record label to sign you because they're putting time and money into your project and you might flop, you might suck, but you also might be amazing. Either way, though, the label's going to have ownership of your music. So we're going to keep that in mind. On the flip side, if it's a distribution company, then they're not taking ownership. Distributors will only have a limited right to represent the music for however long you say they can via the contract. So what this means is that if you are coming to me, I'm the distributor, and I say, awesome, love your stuff. I'm going to distribute you. I'm going to promote you. We're going to be great working partners, and I'll be able to represent your music for the next 5 years. I might even give you like a signing bonus. The label might give you a signing bonus too, but that is a massive difference because the record label owns your music. The distributor does not. The distributor has a license to represent it. Now, of course, the license is going to be exclusive. You can't go anywhere else. You're stuck with the distributor until the end of the agreement, all those things. But that really is a huge difference because your music is valuable. Even if it's not technically very valuable now, meaning that, if you do a valuation and you're like, well, this is how much my stuff is making, via streams and digital downloads. In the future, your music becomes very valuable. I mean, guys, have you seen these catalog sales for, mid-tier independent artists? When you have an audience, your music becomes valuable. And when you have been around for a while, your music becomes like a legacy thing. So at some point, your music catalog can be sold, and whoever owns it gets that big payout. So that's number 3. Number 4, let's talk about negotiation. So, I sat down yesterday at my office with, new client, great team, sitting there with the artist, like looking at the vision and talking about where are we going and what are we going to do and how are we going to, make money and get popularity and all the things, right? Well, one of the things is that if part of your strategy is that you actually do want to get a record deal, love it. There's nothing wrong with that. I'm not going to villainize working with a label. All I'm doing is just saying I really need you to understand the difference so that you can negotiate well. And you can negotiate well if you know to kind of hold off until it's the right time. It's the right time to partner up with a company like a record label when you have negotiating power because you have fans who like your music and follow you and buy your stuff. That's pretty much it. If you don't have this stuff going on, you have zero negotiation power. Now, if you are talking to, let's say, a distributor, guess what? The exact same thing applies. I had lunch the other day with one of the biggest distributors in the United States and just kind of chatting about what their deals look like and how they sign and what they're looking for. And it's the same kind of thing. They're looking at what are your streams? What's your fan base like? What's the projection of where your career is going? So, it's essentially just a game, a money game, a business strategy that they're looking at. So if you understand that and you come to play and you set yourself up for success, guess what? Now you have negotiation and now you can get the best version of either deal. Whether you are trying to sign with a record label, understanding they're going to own the music, or if you're going to sign with a distributor, understanding that they're going to have exclusivity, they're going to represent you for however long, and that's important. Even if they're not going to own the music, obviously things could go sideways and you can't go anywhere because you signed a contract. Okay. So don't, sacrifice your freedom in either case and be signing contracts. And then please, please, please get an entertainment attorney to take a look at your contracts. Like I'm telling you, it's when it comes to like hiring an attorney, it's scary. I get it. It's frustrating because you're looking on Google and you can't find someone and then everyone's pages are so generic. It's very overwhelming, but I promise the work that basically goes into like just hiring a professional for your thing, which at this point is reviewing your contracts and having an advocate by your side who can mentor you through this process, is going to make the world of difference from your stress levels to just like you getting the absolute best deal, which means the most amount of money and the most protection for you. So please get someone to help you. Okay. I hope you guys find this helpful. There's a huge difference between these deals. And if you are looking at either one of these deals right now, that's great. But guess what? There's going to be more deals that come along. So kind of going back to the point on like, are you even ready to sign? And that'd be the conversation I was having with you if we had a consultation and I looked at your contract. Be like, what's the goal here? What do you want? What are your deal breakers? And this is what your contract says.